Let's start with the latest in the Occupy Wall Street movement that is overtaking this country. Some interesting news out of Richmond, Virginia tonight, as the Tea Party there has apparently given the mayor of Richmond a bill for $8,000, the amount they say the Occupy protesters should pay for staying in the park there. The movements overall, though, seem to be growing, and a large part of this is in reaction to pictures coming out of Oakland, California over the last 48 hours or so. Now let's take this back to very early Tuesday morning, where police in riot gear raided the park protesters had been camping out in for about 2 weeks. They used tear gas to clear the crowds and proceeded to stomp on tents and people's personal belongings, then arrested nearly 100 of them. Later in the day, protesters returned to reclaim their space just outside of City Hall and were met with an even more violent barrage of police. These pictures now being seen around the world. The man you're seeing there, Scott Olson, a military veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq. He's being carried away there, had a fractured skull and brain swelling from blunt force trauma, possibly from an exploding tear gas canister. These pictures are perhaps one reason police decided to leave last night. You could call it a tactical victory for protesters, who were also given support from Oakland's mayor. That same mayor earlier praised police for their response. Now she says that police presence could be kept to a minimal. Now, those pictures you just saw of Scott Olson sparked anger from so many people, including many fellow veterans. The internet today filled with a major show of support. And I want to read just a few of those comments posted on the Business Insider website today. The first one is by someone who calls himself Youth and Asia. They write, "Fellow veteran here as well. That's our effing brother. I didn't stomp around in the you-know-what to come home and watch my brothers spit on like this." M1K Pro says, "When someone attacks a U.S. Marine who are everyone my family, I will stand and I will fight to protect them because they did the same for me and asked nothing in return." And Love and Livin' comments, "Oakland just woke up a sleeping dog, a dog the people need to protect them. The police are supposed to be that dog. Instead, they bite their owner. Looks like they woke up the big dogs. Marines, we need you. We have reached a tipping point." Many of those comments in response to a photo posted on that website. Take a look at this. This is Marine Corps Sergeant Jay Gentile holding up a picture of Scott Olson and a sign that says, "You did this to my brother." Just a little while ago, I spoke to the man in that photo who also served 2 tours in Iraq. He told me why he took the picture and what it meant to him.
That picture, I wish I had the vocabulary to describe the plethora of emotions that I felt when I saw the picture of Corporal Olson. That picture was taken about 15 minutes after I found out what happened, and I felt a need to express all the various emotions that were going on inside of me. And I knew that I wasn't the only person that felt this way, and I figured I would go ahead and try to be one of the people that was able to express the feelings that they felt.
From what I understand, you don't know Scott Olson, but you also served 2 tours in Iraq. Talk to me, Sergeant, about the relationships of, people who serve in combat zones, whether or not you serve together. What is that? It seems to me there's a very loyal sort of feeling that you build up among and within the military community. Talk to me about this.
The boundaries of the English language seem to defy, they're all just, honestly, there are no words to express the bond that Marines feel for each other. And this goes across the service, but it's very specific for Marines. Marines regard each other as brothers and sisters, and we mean it. I may not personally know Corporal Olson, but I know his story. I know what he had to eat when he went to Iraq. I know what his walk to work was like, and I know how it feels to have rockets and mortars flying at you, just like Corporal Olson does. A lot of people say that Marines are initially broken down and then rebuilt to be Marines. And a lot of us look at that as the start of a new life. So Corporal Olson started his life the exact same way that I started mine. We are siblings, basically. We will always share a bond together, whether we're active or not. And to see what happened to my brother and I do use that word almost as literally as I can. To see what happened to him just surprised me. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And I immediately felt that bond again. And you know, one of my own was injured. And
not injured. You know, both of you served 2 tours in Iraq, and yet the injury that Scott Olsen sustained did not happen in Iraq. It happened here in California. I do want to play for you some video from yesterday. I think this was shot right after the news of the police raid in Oakland came down. This video was taken in New York City.
Okay.
So protesters on Occupy Wall Street showing solidarity with those in Oakland, saying Oakland is New York is Oakland. Some people even holding signs that say, "We are all Scott Olsen." I want to get your reaction to this. You talk about the bond between Marines, between people in the military. How does it make you feel to know that across the country, this bond is also stretching just to other protesters?
To be honest, I wouldn't expect less from any other American, military or not, veteran or not. I would expect people to feel this bond. We're all here on the planet together, and you know, like it or not, we're all in this together. And I'm thankful and proud to be associated with the people in New York and in cities all across this country that share this bond that I share with Corporal Olsen.
I want to get your reaction, Jay. You know, we talk here at RT a lot about the way that this movement has been covered for the last 6 weeks. And one of the Fox News hosts also has a radio show, Sean Hannity. He was interviewing a protester, and he told her that because she came out to protest, that she doesn't believe in liberty or in freedom. We thought this was really interesting, and we found this on YouTube. Somebody asking other veterans to respond to what Sean Hannity said. I'll show you what they said, and then I'll get your response.
I think that's the biggest load of I've ever heard. Everybody here loves this country and wants to see it grow and wants to see it better.
Is there anything that you specifically would tell him if he was here standing in front of you?
I'll tell him off. That's what I would tell him.
So it's not just police. It's not just, you know, officers in riot gear. It's also some members of the media who really seem to be stomping, even if not literally, on members of this movement. What do you think about this?
Well, specific to Mr. Hannity and his colleagues, I think it's unfortunate that they're informed apparently the same way that the people they speak to are informed. I think if they personally knew the message and knew what was going on, you know, their conscience, or their their conscience would prevent them from broadcasting what they broadcast. I think the majority of, at least what I've seen on Fox News and other, you know, quote, conservative news outlets across the country and abroad, it's not what people think. It's not the message of the Occupy movement. It's just not. It's what I believe they're told to speak about, and I believe what they're told the message is, and they just relay this instead of actually investigating it.
Finally, I want to get your reaction. We showed a little earlier in the show some of the reactions that your picture drew. There were so many comments to choose from. We just showed 3 of them to our viewers. Did it surprise you to see that, you know, so many people, it was a simple picture that you took. It wasn't a video, it wasn't a movie, it was a simple photograph that you took that is making its way around the country, maybe around the world, and is generating this response. What do you think about that?
I would expect, you know, Marines like myself to feel the same way that I do, and hopefully I just successfully captioned the emotions that they feel along with me. I am a little surprised, well, I'm very surprised by the amount of people that have come out in support of this, and I'm a little overwhelmed. I really wasn't expecting this, but you know, the spotlight shouldn't be on me. The spotlight should be on the ideas that I share with these people. Those ideas, I should say, while I have the opportunity, those ideas including that the police are not against us. The police are not against the movement. The police are not the enemy. It reminds me of my time in the military. Living on a military base in a military town isn't always easy for a military member, whether you're a good person or not. 1,000 people can do great things, and one person can do something terrible. And it's not, Joe Schmo that did that terrible thing. It's a Marine that did that terrible thing. And the way I relate that to the police is it's not the police that are doing this. It's one or two individuals that are part of the police. They happen to be police that did this. The police as a whole are here to protect and serve. They're not all bad people.
Many of them probably also made up of former Marines, former Army veterans as well. It is hard, though, I have to say, a lot of people see not just one or two police officers, but dozens of them coming in and raiding these camps, and it's hard to get that image out of their mind. But it is a good point that you raise, that some of those bad apples can really make the situation a whole lot worse. Jay Gentile, former sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, I want to thank you so much for joining us and for taking that picture that has generated quite a discussion around the internet today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for having me.